What's going on in the dark here? Well, it's TrailTrek again, and I'm just looking around. I can't see very much here. It's pretty dark, so I've picked a pretty dark environment to do this. So just some quick initial thoughts on the Convoy M21E. Quite an interesting looking light. I'll just show you quickly. I've got red light on here just so I don't ruin my night vision. I'll give you the quick heads up here. Looks pretty decent. Nice deep knurling there, and then it's got this swirly pattern. I quite like that on the head. Something of a thrower. It looks like a thrower, doesn't it? Although because of the emitter, it hasn't got the tightest hot spot, and I'll show you some comparisons to show you that. But pretty nice. It's got onboard charging, which is Type C, but I'll get onto that when I do the full review. This isn't a full review, obviously. And there's the button, and it's working on a 21700 cell, and the emitter on this, which is the thing down there, is the 70.2. So it's the cree 70.2. So I'll just quickly show you. So if we go to its lowest, now you can see the floor a little bit there, so I'll turn my headlamp off. So if you click and hold from off, that's 0.2% of its maximum theoretical output. They're claiming something like 3,300, probably about 3,000-ish. You can stretch out a little bit. You could probably walk by that. I wouldn't want to do it for any length of time because it's a throw and you don't get a lot of peripheral vision, but it certainly works, look. Hopefully you can see the colours there. I'm doing this in 4K, 10-bit colour gamut, so you get the full HDR colour gamut, unless YouTube knacks it. So as you stretch out, useless. So if you've got to turn off, you can't ramp up from there, even though it is ramping. You've got to turn it back off, then back on, then it goes to its lowest setting, which is a bit weird. You can go to a stepped system, but I'll do that in the full review. So you can't see, in fact, let's have a look. You can't really see down that path there, can you? Not any great deal anyway, but bear in mind this is its lowest setting. Looks a little bit green maybe, but we are in a green environment, and you sometimes get that with the crees. So what we'll do is we'll start ramping up. So if you click and hold, ramp, 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 beautiful. There, full ramp. You get like a momentary blip there. Obviously because it's a thrower, you see on the far left there is the peripheral of the spill there, and then on the right same, so you're just getting enough to walk by. Certainly if you hold this back to about there, it's not bad, is it? It's better than a dedicated thrower, and I'll show you that in a moment, what the difference is. But you see the hot spot, it's quite wide, isn't it? Look, it's almost the width of that path, so very interesting. We'll move along here just so you can see in some different environments. So we'll come along here, the bridge here. So can you see the hot spot there? You can see it much better there in the middle. Quite wide for a thrower, but this does give you quite a distance because it's got a good lumen output. Still hasn't stepped down yet. The step down seems pretty sensible on this. So we'll push out onto this water here. So pretty nice, isn't it? I'm very impressed. It's got it's not a super thrower, but it's usable light. So what we'll do is we'll compare that to some other lights so you can calibrate what you're looking at. So if you have a look at that, then we'll put that in the back pocket and try not to set it off by accident and burn myself like I normally do. So we'll compare it to the Ace Beam. Now much more output here, about 4,600 lumens, something like that. Same emitter though, the 70.2, but it's using an orange peel reflector. And I'll show you that. So stubby, same battery, but much smaller, not a wide sort of cup there to throw that, but it does a pretty good job. But orange peel, you may not be able to see that there. That's not bad there, you can see it. Same emitter though, that's why I brought this out to test. So what we'll do is we'll turn that on, that's its lowest setting, and then we'll go to its highest. There. So can you see how left and right that you don't get that shadow because it's not a thrower. Although you are getting quite a bit of distance on this, it's not going to throw quite as far, but it's not going to throw quite as far as a dedicated throw. But I really like this light, and I was glad I got it. I think it was worth it. Although they are a bit expensive unless you can get them with tokens and stuff, but if you can get them on the sale, pretty good. So that's the Ace Beam E70. So same emitter, but a different way of getting that light into the world using a smaller orange peel reflector. So we'll put that in the pocket, and then we'll go to the next one, which is the GT Mini, I think. I'll just prove that. There it is, GT Lumen Top GT Mini. So we'll have a look at that. Boom. Now it's much smaller, but dedicated thrower. See how tight that beam is? Watch, we'll go to turbo. There, that's turbo. See that intense hot spot in the middle? Look, see that blue there? Well, it looks blue, but that's just the particles in the air. You see it there? So a dedicated thrower, you're getting that shadow left and right, but it's not bad, it's quite wide. You could walk with that and use the spill, but you're pushing out much further. The range on this will go way beyond what we're looking at here. But like I say, harder to walk by, and this intense hot spot doesn't spread out as much. but it's a dedicated thrower, so you're trying to get maximum distance using that smooth reflector there. So just a much smaller one, using a smaller battery. This is using an 18650, so put that in the pocket there, because I like to give you plenty of little things to look at. And if you want to go for a super thrower, this is using the SST40 lumen top. It's the GT, and I'll show you that. So this is the, in fact it's not, sorry, this is the Astrolux FT03, sorry. So big massive reflector there, huge, you see. So that's on its lowest, and then watch, boom, big. But again, exactly the same as the lumen top, you've got that tight hot spot in the middle. You can see it there, look. You can see the beam. It's trying to throw maximum distance, which it does. It does an incredible job. But you've got to ask yourself, do you want it to throw maximum distance, or do you want usable light? So if you're hiking, you probably don't want to throw it, you know, unless you're looking for birds out in a marsh or something like that, or your dog runs off across a field. So less useful, but you could use the spill. Look, if we walk, watch, if I've got that there, see the spill to the left and right, that lets me walk and see what's going on. It's enough, but it's not really designed for that. But pretty decent light. So turn that off, get that in there. Sorry this is taking so long, I've got pockets all over the place. Right, so this is an older one here, much older, using an 18650. It's the Convoy again, same make as the one I'm looking at, but it's the C8, and it's the C8 Plus. You can tell by all the groovy grooves on it there. Tail clicker, this is using the XHP high or whatever, the cree high intensity anyway, so a totally different emitter, so I'll show you that. I know that's on the tie setting because it was, but again, dedicated thrower, you've got that hot spot there. So not quite as good for walking, but you can do it because you can use some of the spill, but then you've got to put the output up. So you've got to ask yourself, is that what you want? But pretty decent, look. Much more of a cool light on this. It's very interesting though. So we'll turn that off. And then we'll go to, I think I've got one more. Now this uses 4, I'll show you. This is an Astrolux. Quite an interesting one. This is a FT02S. Now the interesting thing with this is different emitter again. It's using 4 of them though, in a quad setup. You see, it's smooth reflector, but it's quad, and it's the cree 50.2s. So the one I'm looking at is the 70.2s. Those slightly lower ones were just the normal cree XB HI, in other words high intensity, and this is the 50.2s. So sort of middle of the road output, so I'll show you that. Boom. Now this is much more floody, watch. Go to turbo, bang, look at that. That to me is like a cool white version of the ace beam there. Although the ace beam's using an orange blue reflector, this is getting you a bit of throw, which is difficult on a quad emitter, but it's doing a good job. Look at that. But again, you get something of a hotspot, but the hotspot isn't too defined. You know, yes, it's pushing out, but as soon as you reach there, look, you see how it comes to nothing and it spreads out, but massively usable. I was walking along some cliffs with that yesterday, and it was brilliant. I loved it. Plenty of sort of side-to-side vision. You can see, watch. You've got to move pretty far in before you get the extremity of that beam, so it stretches out pretty good, but it has got a big head, and I'll show you that. I'll just put my headlamp on there, so yeah, so you can see that. So what I'll do is I'll turn that off and we'll go back to the light I'm supposed to be looking at. So Convoy M21E, like I say, this is just initial thoughts, and we'll go for a walk with it. So we'll put it on there, and then it's memory mode, so it's remembering the mode, so we'll see what it's like for walking. Pretty good, look. But you can see that pronounced hot spot there, but it's not as pronounced as a pure dedicated thrower where you're getting this hot, intense spot. I mean, that's pretty good. Let's try it in the water. Looks quite nice, doesn't it? There's various tints on this. The only things I'm not so keen on so far are the button. When it's cold, it's not that responsive, but I'll cover that in the review. So that's one slight down point. The UI is weird. Watch. Let's see, I click. So you click and hold from off. You get moonlight or whatever they want to call it, right? You click and hold to try and ramp up, it won't. You've got to then turn it off to get out of that mode, then turn it back on again. Now it goes to its memory mode or whatever, and then you can ramp through the modes. I don't know why you can't just ramp up from that moon mode. I don't understand why they've done that. So I would like that change. That's its lowest setting there. It's still reaching there though. It's still reaching that bridge. That's quite a distance away. And then we'll go to maximum. So you click and hold, and then you should get a momentary flicker. Bang, there, momentary flicker, that's maximum. Pretty nice, isn't it? So let's walk along here, and then I'll leave you because I don't want to rattle on too much. This is just supposed to be some initial thoughts, but I'm really guilty on this channel of waffling for hours, and I apologise. Although some people do like that. So pretty nice, not bad colour reproduction on this. Like I'll go over the tints and all the things like that, and beam shots and proper comparisons when I do the full review, because that's not what this is. This is just a quick look, and I'm doing it in 4K, all in one take, like most of my stuff. So you know, there's no sort of jiggery pokery going on. I'm not trying to edit things in or make anything look better. I've done this in 10-bit colour, so if you've got an HDR monitor, you should get a maximum sort of colour gamut to see exactly what I'm seeing here, because I want to try and help the flashlight buyer. Let's help each other here, so we know what we're buying and what's rubbish and what's really good. That's how far it stretches over there. Pretty good. Still hasn't stepped down. Have you noticed that? That's impressive. It's going all the way down there. Right, I'm going to go for another walk, do some more testing with this, and after I've carried it for a couple of weeks, I'll come back and I'll do a proper review. So thank you very much for joining me. Good night.